to the booth with Dame. I'm your host, Damian Garrison. It is day 2 of the NFL draft. Day 1 was yesterday. There's a lot to talk about. So thank you all for joining. And we're going to probably start with the most obvious headliner is going to be the Baltimore Ravens, my hometown. By the way, just so everyone knows, all the viewers, I grew up a Ravens fan up until about middle school. I fell in love with the Philadelphia Eagles. I still support Baltimore very heavily. I still have Ray Lewis, Ed Reed jerseys, etc. But anyways, let's jump right into it. The Baltimore Ravens originally had one pick in the first round of the NFL draft. They used the first pick to their first pick to draft safety Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. Great pick. I love the pick. Think that Baltimore didn't think Kyle Hamilton would still be there. How the draft went really went in their favor. A lot of the bigger name defensive backs went a lot earlier, maybe just a couple picks earlier than some predicted to a couple different teams, which was fine. And put Baltimore in position to draft talent like Kyle Hamilton, who is arguably, he is the best at his position in the draft. So they basically drafted the best available at that position. Some probably were a little surprised to some degree because they did just sign Marcus Williams, the former Saint, to a contract. But Baltimore chose to, pull the trigger on Kyle Hamilton, and he is a Baltimore Raven. So that's a very exciting pick, a very exciting move, and I think he'll do great in Baltimore. So we'll have to see what comes, ahead with that. Also, they ended up trading, the biggest news, trading wide receiver Hollywood Marquise Brown to the Arizona Cardinals. A lot of fans, I'd say, saw this as a surprise. But if you've been following somewhat closely, you would notice that things haven't seemed the same in not saying the offseason, but just in general since Lamar went down with his injury last season. Hollywood and Lamar Jackson seem to be like two pretty close friends. So for them to not be working out together, Lamar's been working out in the offseason with the rest of the wide receiver core, Rashad Bateman, Tyquan Wallace. So for him to not be, in those workouts with Lamar, with the rest of the receiver core, and wiping his, page clean of any Baltimore related stuff, which I know a lot of players, Kyler Murray has done that as well. He's still with the Arizona Cardinals, but Eric DeCosta, the Ravens general manager, did announce at the presser after the first round of the draft that Marquise Brown did come to him and request a trade. And just to kind of recap on that, here is Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta on the trade with Marquise Brown.
Okay.
Eric, what went into the move to deal Marquise Brown, and how long has that been kind of in the works?
Yeah, it's a complicated topic, and for me personally, complicated because Marquise was my first pick, and one of my favorite guys on the team. So, but Marquise came to me after the season and requested that he be traded, and was not happy and wanted to play elsewhere. Again, it was something that I anguished over for a long time. He would tell you, I think, that he and I had many conversations throughout the spring. And, I always say the club has to win, and this is a situation where it was going to be impossible for the club to truly win. But, we do what we think is best for the player. We try to accommodate players when we can. I'm sensitive to that, and so we did it. I think he would say that he feels happy, which is good, and we made the best of the situation as a club. We used that pick wisely, I think. We got a good trade, I think, and we got an excellent player. And I hope when we look back at this, we'll see that it was a tough situation. I hope the best for Hollywood, I really do. I hope he's in the Pro Bowl. But I also think that this guy that we draft is going to be in Pro Bowls too. And so that'll be a heck of a thing.
From, out of Baltimore, he was not happy with, I guess, the direction of how things were going, maybe his role in Baltimore. Things have been a little up and down since Marquise's arrival in Baltimore. I think that coming out of Oklahoma, a lot of people thought he was going to be kind of like how Jamar Chase is right now, Justin Jefferson. Not to say Marquise hasn't had, a lot of sparky flashes and, decent seasons. He is coming off a 91 reception, 1,000-yard season, his first of his career 1,000-yard season. But I just feel like due to the productivity throughout his tenure with Baltimore, and maybe his want to get out of Baltimore, Baltimore looked at this as a prime, opportunity to take advantage of the situation. So kudos to the Ravens and Eric DeCosta for keeping things on the down low, because had this blown up and, maybe got out to the public, they may not have been able to get the value that they did get for Marquise, which was they traded Marquis Brown and their 100th pick for Arizona's 23rd pick in the draft, which they used to sign, a great future center in Tyler Linderbaum, who has been compared to the likes of like Marshall Yonda. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, they are from the same area or town. And that gives the Ravens the opportunity to move around a player like McCary and, put him at, guard. Or if Ronnie Stanley, he's a left tackle, unfortunately, maybe if he has another injury, can he fill that void? So this kind of gives the Ravens some flexibility on the O-line. They're coming back healthier this year than they were. They made an addition, and the draft isn't over yet. That was only day one. So we're going into day two. Great players at their positions. Number one at their positions coming out of the draft. I think Baltimore had one of the best drafts outside of, New York Jets and Philadelphia. But a lot of people have a lot of questions about Lamar and how this will affect the Marquise Brown trade, will affect their relationship moving forward, given it seems Lamar only knew before the trade was announced that Marquise wasn't going to be with Baltimore anymore. So obviously we don't know the details of how Marquise and Lamar's relationship has been since the end of the season. If they've been close, if they've been in contact, like I'm sure they normally would, if they've been hanging out. But it seems as though due to Lamar's reactions on his Twitter, as I'll show here, it seems that Lamar kind of was in the dark with some things, tweeting, that he's basically showing his upsetness with, the trade. So, which I don't fault him. They seem to grow in a good friendship and relationship since they've been in Baltimore together. But all good things come to an end. Unfortunately, the NFL is a business, and this does link Marquise Brown with former college teammate Kyler Murray, which they had a lot of success at Oklahoma together. So Arizona is going to be an intriguing team heading into the new NFL season. They obviously got rid of, Christian Kirk, so this kind of makes up for no longer having him. So big move by both teams. Hopefully it doesn't cause any type of conflict in the future with Lamar, and him getting his contract done. Some may even say that one of the reasons why, on top of just how close Lamar and Marquise were as far as their relationship, that they didn't let Lamar know about the news, maybe due to his, contract not being signed still, which we all know that Lamar is his own agent, but everybody could speculate, whatnot. I personally don't believe that. I just personally think that the Baltimore Ravens and the general manager, Eric DeCosta, strategically planned this out, had it already set up, which is why, as you can see, Marquise Brown was celebrating in Arizona. He flew down shortly after the trade was announced, and he's seen there with Arizona Cardinals general manager. And celebrating with fans. So I mean, I just feel like things went how they should have went. The Marquise Brown experience in Baltimore did not go as planned. Eric DeCosta's first pick, but like I said, all good things come to an end. They weren't going to pick up his fifth-year option, and they weren't going to pay him top wide receiver market money because he just hasn't shown, that he is worthy of that money just yet. I'm not saying that Marquise Brown isn't going to become worthy of that money and, go off in this league. He could very well go to Arizona and, shoot off to the races, such as like the likes of Darren Waller when he used to be in Baltimore, and now he's one of the best, out in Las Vegas with the Raiders. It's just, nature of business. You got to make moves when you have the opportunities to. Baltimore took advantage of that. They assessed the situation. They got a first round for Marquise. Kudos to the general manager for the Baltimore Ravens. He did a heck of a job. And the organization as a whole keeping this under wraps for as long as they can to make sure they got the deal done. So, that's my take on the first day for the Baltimore Ravens. I wanted to address them first because I feel like they were the biggest team, with the most kind of important news to their team. Obviously Philadelphia had the trade with the Titans, got A.J. Brown, but I'll be talking about that in another video. But Baltimore Ravens drafting Kyle Hamilton, drafting Tyler Linderbaum, after trading Marquise Brown to the Arizona Cardinals. So stay tuned for day 2 of the NFL draft. See what else Baltimore does and all the other teams. Yeah, this is your man Dame with the booth. Signing off.